So we'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. First petition for the evening is a petition from Stanley R. Sylvia for a finding that demolishing the existing dwelling and replacing with a two-level dwelling elevated above flood elevation shall not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming use to the neighborhood as mandated by zoning bylaw Article 5, Section 5.23. Subject property is located at 28 2nd Street, Westport, Mass. and is shown on Assessor's Map, Map 76, Lot 34. This was prompted by a letter from Ralph Souza, the zoning enforcement officer and building commissioner. After review of the submitted building permit application to demolish and remove the existing 7,500 square foot dwelling and to reconstruct a new two-level 2,708 square foot dwelling, including deck on the site, application has been denied. As per the Westport zoning bylaw, Article 523, pre-existing non-conforming structures or uses may be altered provided there is a finding by the Board of Appeals that such alterations should not be substantially more detrimental than existing non-conforming use to the neighborhood. Also, the property in question is in a VEL 19 flood zone, and the new dwelling must meet the requirements of 780 CMR 9th edition 1 and 2 family building code for flood construction. So the way this hearing will be conducted is I'll have the petitioner come up and provide whatever pertinent information that the petitioner wants to give us. At that time, then the board members will ask questions. Once the board has completed asking questions, I'll open it up to the public. Voting on this hearing will be Jerry Catino, Barbara Ponalillo, myself, Roger Menard, Constance Gee, and Ray Elias. Since this is a finding, it requires 3 out of the 5 affirmative in order to approve. So will the petitioner's representative come up here? And by the way, when I get to the open floor, anybody who wants to say anything, come to the microphone, state your name and address before you proceed so that we can log everything in. Okay.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Mark Rodericks. I'm the site design engineer from Analysis and Design Engineering, and I'm representing the petitioner Stanley and Joanne Sylvia for property located at 28 2nd Street, map 76, lot 34. There was a typographical error. If I can start with the letter from Mr. Souza regarding the dwelling size. In fact, that 7,500.
Let me be able to start this all over again.
Start at the beginning, Mr. Menard.
Go ahead.
That, in fact, was a 7,500 square foot lot. So this is a 75 by 100 square foot lot. So the dwelling size is 2,024 square feet, first and second level.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yes, ma'am.
Not the present dwelling.
That's correct. And the current footprint of the existing dwelling, less the attached decking on it, is 816 square feet, for the record. So the property was surveyed by Zenith Land Surveying, and that's the information you see on the plot plan shown here. In phantom is the existing structure, and accompanying that is the proposed 2-bedroom, single-family house that is to be elevated above the floodplain, first floor elevation to be above 19 feet. As shown on the plan, it lies within the zoning setbacks for the property, 25 front, 10 sides in particular, and the setback in the back as well complies with the 6-foot setback in extremis. The proposal is to demolish the existing structure and decks eliminate the existing concrete pad in the back, and then reconstruct this and replace it with an equivalent two-bedroom, single-family house, 2 levels. That will be again elevated above the sea level. Structural designs are intended to comply with the construction bylaws 780 CMR 9th edition 1 and 2 family buildings for flood zone construction, so that the detailed architectural plans will include compliance with that code for architectures in the flood zone. There is some preliminary work on the plan associated with the repair on-site sewage disposal system that is replacing an existing cesspool. That plan has not been finalized and yet to be submitted to the Board of Health pending the activities of today's meeting. Let's see if there's the existing well on site is shown on the plan, and it will be reused when the new structure is attached, and overhead wires or underground wires are proposed to reconnect to the new structure once it's fabricated, again at elevation 19 plus. It was mentioned that we are in a flood zone. That's been identified on the plan, and there are currently no activities proposed which lie within the 100-foot buffer zone to known wetland resource areas which lie to the west-southwest of the property. The buffer zone limit is shown on the plan of record. If there's any questions regarding the architectural structures, materials, etc., I'll defer those questions to Mr. Pavo of Pavo Builders, who is the construction lead on this project. And I'm welcome to take any questions you may have, other people may have.
Could you just describe for us the setbacks from the sidelines, from the property lines?
Yes, I know the drawing's a bit small, I apologize, so we're all gonna be needing our glasses here. The setbacks from the front property line, 2nd Street, are at 25 feet is the required zoning setback. The front of the building is established within that boundary at 26 feet. The side property line setbacks are 10 feet, both on the east and the west side of the property. We show a 10.5-foot setback on each of those. And there is a setback requirement of 6 feet from the back property line. And I do not see on my plan exactly what that setback is.
It's more than 38 feet.
It's greater than 38 feet.
Yeah, that's all.
Looks more like
48
48
feet.
feet with the two additions of those two setbacks that are shown there, Mr. Catino.
Thank you. There's a thing here that says proposed deck, but I can't really figure out where it's at.
The proposed deck extends 8 feet to the west of the property and extends 10 feet from the structure and 10 feet to the south of the structure right there. So it's 8 feet west and 10 feet to the south.
So,
Since this is a finding, I guess we're concerned with not being a detriment to the neighborhood. And what's the finish on the exterior walls? And
I'll let Mr. Pavo
Shingles?
respond to that. He's the builder, and he's prepared that information, which is in the package that I submitted with the town.
well, is it in here?
No,
Yes.
I don't- is it?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
it
let me
is.
Again, you might need your glasses.
Yeah,
here.
magnifying
It's right
glasses.
here, Jim, on the front page.
Oh, it's on the front, okay.
Exterior,
It's very teeny.
cedar.
Okay, Mike, can you just run through it? Yeah. Go ahead. State your name and give us an idea of what the exterior is going to look like.
Eric Pavo, Pavo Builders. My address is 279 Cedar Ave, Swansea, Mass. I'm going to be the contractor on the job if all goes well.
I can't hear him.
Okay, that's right. See, the microphone doesn't amplify, it just records.
Okay.
So you have
Oh,
to
okay,
talk
all right,
up.
I'm sorry. All right, yeah.
Figured that out, by the way.
That's only for the
My name is
television.
Eric Pavo, from Pavo Builders. I'm on 279 Cedar Avenue in Swansea. I'll be the contractor on the job if all goes well here. As far as the exterior, we're planning on regular asphalt architect shingles on the roof, and my client would like to do cedar impressions, vinyl siding around the rest of the house. The exterior trim is to be AZEK PVC material, being close to the water. That'll be white. We're gonna have vinyl windows, Harvey brand vinyl windows. Sliding glass door will also be vinyl. The exterior doors will be Therma-Tru fiberglass doors painted. On the decks, for the decking itself, we're gonna have composite decking, a timber deck, TimberTech AZEK decking. The rail, all the pressure treated framing will be wrapped with AZEK. And the rail system that they're inquiring right now, with the cost prohibitive, would be a cable rail system. So it'll be sleek, not as defined.
Okay, so you're using asphalt shingles for the roof?
Correct.
and
Asphalt shingles to the roof, vinyl shingles for
Cedar
siding,
impression, vinyl
shingles.
siding.
If they look just like
So
cedar.
does that,
It looks
Straight.
like cedar
it'll
shingles.
look like, just like...
Yes, it'll look like
regular
white cedar
shingles?
shingles.
Yeah, okay.
I have a question for Ralph. Are there any requirements for wind down there?
No, the wind windows have been exempt from the code, they were taken out
Yeah.
last code cycle.
Okay.
So there's no
The roof,
requirements for
the
windows.
roofing, the asphalt roofing
The
shingle?
asphalt roofing is gonna meet the requirements of our windows.
Yeah, okay.
Am I reading this right that that it's going to be 8 feet off the ground?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, that's the flood zone requirement? So you're putting in a 12-inch concrete footing, and then on top of that is where you put your
columns,
your columns for the...
There'll be a concrete floor poured on the underneath side of it. And then the structure will go on top of that.
You know, I took a ride by the other day and took pictures of the, because it's, in this kind of a thing, we can, well, actually, you can both sit there.
Yeah, you can grab another seat and bring it up.
I'll just slide right on up with Mr. Paper.
In findings, because it's the finding really, what we're looking for is, does it substantially, what is the impact on the neighborhood? So obviously, we have to know what the neighborhood looks like in order to see what the impact of the neighborhood is. So, you know, it took a drive-by to see what, you know, what the property looks like and try to sort of visualize what it would look like with the proposed, you know, changes. Obviously, when driving by, this is another kind of property. This looks like something that was probably an old cottage that was, you know, used for mostly for, you know, for summer usage. You know, and I guess being, you know, on the optimistic side, it's kind of a cottage that in need of a paint job.
I think it needs more than paint.
Well, I mean, that's why being a little, you know. I also looked to see what other houses are around it, because this is now going to be a two-story house, and it's going to be lifted up in order to, a two-story house, you know, in order to comply with the flood zone. And I can see on either side, there are two-story houses on both sides of you, and several in the neighborhood. Matter of fact, I believe the property on that abuts you from First Street is also a two-story.
Yeah, there's also one that is up on Pierce also.
It's also on Pierce also. Matter of fact, we had a hearing for the one on First Avenue, which is just just, well, First Street, which is,
Just to the south, right, just to the south.
just one street away from what you're proposing to do. I look at this, I say, I think you checked all the boxes. You're not looking for a variance for anything. You got all the setbacks. One of the things, obviously, that's going to be I believe, a major improvement for this is septics in these areas are always difficult. What was done 50 years ago, we would never allow anybody to do now. So people who are proposing major upgrades to septic systems in these areas, I think it's beneficial to everybody because septic systems can be a real problem, especially this close to the ocean.
If I
I
may
don't
add,
really see any.
if I may add, I do agree that the challenges associated with an on-site system here with all of the plethora of wells that are supporting each of the individual lots does create challenges, does call for innovative technologies, which we're looking at here, to try to achieve maximum feasible compliance with the code for these small lots. And I've been engaged with, this is about the 6th one that I've been engaged in there, and they are challenging. I would agree that that's among the more challenging elements of this site.
Right.
Absolutely so.
And I want to make everybody understand what the purpose of this hearing is and what goes forward from here. This hearing is only to identify, since this is non-conforming property, that any changes to that property are not going to be substantially more detrimental to the community. Assuming, if we approve that, they still have to go through the building permit, they still have to go through the health department, they still have to go through conservation, there are, all the other town requirements are still imposed on this property as far as how it is built. So how you build a septic, I wouldn't say we don't care about. We want to understand it because it may impact our feeling of how it impacts the neighborhood. But the health department is certainly going to get into a lot of detail about the septic system. And Ralph is going to get into a lot of detail about your building and all the construction part of this. So our only part of this is, once it's finished and approved by all the other town agencies, how does it affect the neighborhood? So I just want to make it that clear before we move on. Questions from the board?
Do you know how tall this structure will be when it's built?
32.7,
Okay,
Approximately
thank you.
32.7 from grade to peak.
which is under some of the other ones that are there.
I think this is sort of the way it's going to be going. When all of these small houses are rebuilt.
They all are gonna have to go on stilts, so.
Elevated up.
Oh, they have to
They
be,
have to be,
right. Isn't the regulation something like if 50% change to
Cash value
the,
of the building, if you go 50% of the cash value of the building, you must knock it down. So I met with Sylvia over a year ago, and that's what I made him understand, so that's why he chose this route rather than try to fix something that's old, dilapidated. He just went this route.
yes, I know, because we had that similar issue with the one on First Street, where they were going to do a modernization for $10,000, and it ended up being, an awful lot more than that, because they had to comply with the flood zone. Which now, you look at everything that's happening in Florida, you certainly
sir.
all understand why,
Definitely, yes.
why we need to do that. Any questions? I'm glad that, I guess it was Ray no, it was Jim that asked about the exterior, because it wasn't obvious until you read the front notes. So you're going to, I categorize it as it's still going to look sort of, it's going to
I
look
believe
like,
it's going to fit in.
it's going to fit in the neighborhood.
The materials we're using.
Yeah, yes.
We're not trying to propose a stucco building sitting in the middle there.
So it's going to look like cedar shingles and,
Yes.
yes.
And it's, salt boxy,
Salt
it's-
boxy, right,
dish.
right. It's a lot more square footage, but you're within you're within the limits of your setback, so that's not, and again, looking at the houses on either side of you and across the street, I can see that it appears to be comparable to me. It's not going to be an outrageous change, and there's a house in your backyard that is also a two-story house on stilts. So from how does it fit in the neighborhood, I think most of the houses are, like I said, either have already gone that way or are moving in that direction.
I would say that that would be something that we want to encourage down there. Because one big hurricane and there'll be a lot of devastation. This house has a lot more chance of surviving a hurricane.
Right. Yes, since a lot of the damage that you get, other than, obviously if everything gets blown apart, that's one thing, but a lot of the damage that we would be getting, or like you see in Florida, is water.
Storm
It's not
surge.
necessarily the rain.
Storm surge.
It's the storm surge.
And that pushes the roof up. That's what happened. The flooding came in and the
And it
pressurizing,
pushes,
it
right.
pushed the roof up there in
Right,
Florida.
Right, yeah, so, you can understand why in a zone, in a flood zone like this, that putting it on, on stilts essentially is gonna make it certainly a lot more survivable.
I would like to just observe that all the setbacks are being met. Okay, the new septic system is going to be positive impact on the neighborhood. And I like the idea also that it's going to generate more tax revenue.
Bonus.
You're going to pay it.
I don't see that the board has any other major questions. I'll open it up to the floor. If anybody wants to have comment, either positive or negative, come to the microphone.
I'm not as good as you guys, so I need a little more explanation if I can. My name is Zoe Boza, 26 Second Street, right next to there, so
Yep.
I know them well. So my question is, they said 32 feet. Is that 32 feet from here to the top of the roof?
From the grade.
Forgive my
I'm
language.
sorry, from the ground to the peak, it's roughly
32 feet, so it goes from there, to the ground. And then there's 8 feet of...
That's including the 8 feet.
That's including, so there's 8 feet of pylon here, or whatever that decking is, or whatever it's called?
Yes.
And then you're gonna build from there up.
Correct.
So, from my side of the world, is it gonna stay the same as far as just going up from where it is, or is it gonna be pushed over? You follow what I'm asking? On the sides of the house?
You're on the east side of the property, right?
Yeah,
Right.
so is it gonna stay, because the septic is there now? You said that's moving. So is it gonna go over how much to the left and how much to the right? Just curiosity, I mean, it's gonna happen. I wanna know I wanna see what I'm understanding.
Well, right now, your proposal is 10 and a half feet. Do you know what the current is?
That is very close to where the extended deck is on the east side. So where the small deck is on
Yep.
your side of
Yep.
the property, that'll be the eastbound wall.
Okay,
of
so
the
that's
new
gonna be the
structure.
wall going up.
Yes, ma'am.
And then from that wall, it'll go all the way up 32 feet.
32 feet, 8 inches or something, yes.
And so it'll go straight up, and then the deck is in the front.
It's on the other side of
Other
the
side.
property.
The other
So-
side, it would be on the west side.
Yeah, so then that means 32 feet up. I'm just trying to figure out how high my house is to that to
Can you
see.
go back so you're getting in front of the microphone?
You think I need that?
No, not really. No,
I
you're-
teach, you think I need this? The question I have is, I just want to understand, it's going 32 feet up. Am I just going to see windows? I'm just curious to
When you-
find out go ahead.
When you were at grade, when you were standing in your yard,
Yep.
looking towards where that structure is now,
Yep.
8 feet above grade, you will see right through. So
Okay.
It will be on stilts or on concrete piles.
Right, and then
So-
after that, which is my second floor, then I will probably just see Wall.
If you were to look out from your second-story window, you will be seeing wall,
I
yes.
will be seeing wall.
Well, you'll be seeing windows.
Windows, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Windows.
Well, yes, I'm just,
I
yes.
believe you have there's an elevation shot in the set of plans,
Okay.
and there is a picture, if I may, I can, oh, you got bigger one.
Does he have left elevation?
Yes, left.
Left elevation.
This is the left elevation, so this is what you're gonna look at from your,
Yeah, so it's just gonna be wall here base because the deck is probably gonna be at the same place where my deck is. So,
back.
in the back, so I'm gonna just be seeing wall now.
and this will be see-through. There will be
Understood,
nothing.
that doesn't
Yeah.
affect me. But thank you. Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is John Boza. I'm Zoe's brother. That's my sister. I live on 26 2nd Street.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier, what impact does it have on the neighborhood? Who determines that and how?
We do.
You do.
We do.
You five.
Yes. That's what we're
Okay.
here for, yes.
And you've also mentioned that, what's happened in Florida. I've lived in that area, East Beach Street, right on the water. The water's from here to the wall where I live. The only two major hurricanes were Bob and Gloria, 85 and 92. Never has any water come up that high because of the marsh and because hurricanes come from the southeast and the islands block it.
Okay.
And the marshes are, never has any water, and the house on the first street with stilts, it's an eyesore. And, you mentioned the second level houses. My house was built in 97. And all those houses on first, second, and third most of them were on Gooseberry Island. And after the war, they had to move them. And they bought land there and they positioned them there.
Okay.
And,
We're getting to a point here? Are you saying that you don't think you need to be on stilts?
I think it's an eyesore.
Well,
That's not our
You know,
problem.
you're comparing it to
but-
second
but
floor. And it's not
but the
comparable
requirement is
neighborhood.
that the state requirement requires them to be elevated.
No, we don't determine
We
that.
can't determine that.
Federal.
Ralph has a comment.
The state requires it to be elevated. If Mr. Sylvia didn't want to elevate it, he'd also take my letter to the state and appeal a building code issue. That's a building code issue, not a zoning.
Right.
When did that come into law? Recently?
It's been into law as long as
Quite a
I've been a
while.
building inspector.
Yeah,
now,
long
back in
time.
the 60s.
You talking years?
the
No,
stilts.
because there's been a lot of houses that haven't been put on stilts,
Yes, what they're saying is, say you had a house, the house across the street from them is not on stilts, right?
yes.
That's fine, they're good. But if they wanted to modify it, if the modification costs more than 50% of the house, they would be also required to put it on stilts. It's state law, we have no control over that. That's the law.
So everybody's gonna be on stilts
He could
eventually.
appeal it to the state, but he's not going to get it.
Right.
There's never been an appeal to the state for an applicant to say, I don't want my house raised on
Right.
piers. They turn them down.
Yeah, because you're in the floodplain, that is a state law, so, and we can't override
Anytime a
that.
seagull flies over a house, it's considered a flood zone, that's the way it is. And the whole country pays for what happened in Florida.
Yes,
That's the way it is.
yes,
But,
Yep.
my concern is, it's the only one on that road that'll be on stilts. And, that's not conforming to the neighborhood. Okay.
Well, okay, thank you.
Again, time's going to change.
Mhm.
Most of those houses in that area are going to be on stilts.
Yes,
That's,
This is just one of the,
New owners new buyers take them, buy them. They come to me, they come to see me on renovations, and I go over the same thing I went with Mr. Sylvia. It's gonna be,
Gina Labante's isn't.
Jimmy Labante's, he did, the other option in the building code, his cash value for his house was high enough. He stayed under the 50%, but he does have flood vents in that house.
Anyone else?
I agree with you if it makes anything at all. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with you about the fact that well, it was really the federal legislation that changed after Hurricane Katrina. And they just went willy-nilly with the insurance industry and said, you know, we're just going to say that everything basically, you know, this far back from the ocean is a flood zone.
Yeah.
And it really didn't pay much attention to
And what would happen if
particular
we didn't do
areas.
this and next year a hurricane came in right at Westport Beach? All those houses would be
You
would
can't
be
get
underwater.
flood insurance without
Right. So,
adhering
you
to
know,
these.
Go ahead, name and address.
Hi, Ben Singer, 23 Second Street is, we're across the street.
Across the street,
Yeah,
yes.
and everything, my original questions were about how many bedrooms were going in versus how many are there now and that sort of thing. And I think it's 2 for 2, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. What is the maximum height allowed?
40
40
Is it
feet.
40 feet? And that's from grade?
grade.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other comments from the board?
Nope.
Okay, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to ask to close the hearing if there's no other comment. Closing the hearing just means that we take no more information from, unless we ask for it before we do deliberations. And then we will do a deliberation and make a decision.
Move to close the hearing?
Second.
Second from Ray. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, no. The record show that's unanimous. Like I said, this is the way that all the properties along all the beaches are going. And it has to be by state law that, you know, when you make a change more than 50% of the value of the house, it's going to have to go up on stilts. I toured the area. There are other houses that are certainly as tall and as large. Putting it on stilts, yeah, it's different. You know, I wouldn't say it's ugly, it's different. But on the other hand, it is going to be it is going to improve the appearance of the neighborhood, I believe. It's also going to improve the septic system, and I don't think we can even doubt that, because the old septic systems, a lot of them were like a trash can in the ground. I mean, so any improvement to septic in that area, I think is beneficial to everybody. I don't see any negatives to this after touring the neighborhood. I think taking that property and making it into a nice new structure is going to make the whole neighborhood look nicer. And, a little bit more income from the town wouldn't be bad either, but
I'm not voting, but...
you're not voting. You can comment, though.
Yeah, just good. Ralph raised the point. What this is the first conversion that's going to happen over the next 50, 100 years. Because of sea level rise and hurricanes and such, there's just no way that the houses can survive down there. Even if there isn't a major hurricane down there, enough houses may be damaged that the repair cost may exceed the 50%. So it's not for us to make a decision on whether it should be on piers or not, but I'm just saying that if the question is whether it fits into the neighborhood is going to fit into it within 50 years, I think.
No, Ken, too late. Any other comments before
No.
we take a vote?
I'll make a motion that this proposed plan will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, and that we find that that's the case.
Okay, and I would add the condition that we include the the plans as provided. in-
Per the plans.
Per the
that-
plans.
And the testimony provided to us tonight.
I'll second.
So I have a motion, I have a second from Ray.
Yep.
Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Let the record show it's unanimous. There's a 20-day wait period from the time that you received the letter, so don't start knocking things down for 20 days. So, thank you all for coming, and thank you all, everybody in the audience for coming. We really do appreciate people coming out and voicing their opinions.
Good luck.
Anything else on the agenda?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Take care.
Good night.
She said
No, there was a...
Was any of your...
Gonna do that now.
When you stay down there, was that in Florida?
No.
Well, we paid our dues in the last one, so.
Well, where I was a year ago, definitely. My wife's son and
done?
brother
Are you,
both
like,
got hit
leaving?
pretty
Okay,
hard. Coral, Fort Myers area.
All right, can we hold it down? We still have,
We gotta close the meeting still.
Are we dismissed?
you can go. Well, we may still have other business.
Good night, folks.
Okay.
You're taking these
Night, midnight,
together.
20 days.
Good night,
Oh, that's
y'all.
different.
Everybody, we're still in session. You want to talk? Is there any old business that needs to be discussed? We don't have any meeting minutes to approve, is that correct? Yes. Correct. Not, right?
We did.
The 14 to 40 pager that,
We did send some legal questions to Attorney Blake, September 28th, about defining variances and so forth. We've not heard back yet, so.
Is that the other one on Cadman's Neck?
that's the other one on Cadman's Neck.
So I haven't been down there. Are we planning to go as a group, or should I just go on my own?
No, you can go on your own. Yeah, I've been down there a couple of times.
Okay.
Wait, what are we doing? Why were we
For
planning on
the-
going as a group? Why were we planning on going as a group?
He was just asking.
He was just asking.
Just for sight, just for a walk around and see
yes.
what
I didn't,
context is, that's all.
Now, my
Because
plan
it's another
is...
finding, and findings are always about what the
About how it
neighbors
fits in the
are
neighborhood,
about.
right. My plan, for the next hearing, which is 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
2 weeks.
2 weeks from now. Because I wasn't here for the last hearing.
Hello?
I was not here for the last hearing, but however, according to state law, I am allowed to be a member if I watch the video, which I have started, and read the minutes and look at all the documentation and sign a piece of paper saying that I have in fact performed all those functions. And I plan on doing that just to make sure that we have sufficient members at the next hearing. And then I can also...
You're talking about 135M now.
I'm talking about 135M.
Yeah.
Well, and the two that were continued.
Yeah.
And I assume that you're still going to be willing to chair.
I will chair it as well. Yes.
Are you going
Because I don't want
to
to.
vote?
I am also allowed to vote.
But,
During the meeting, I will assign who votes.
okay, I'm just curious because, yeah.
Normally, what I would do is,
'cause-
the permanent members, if I have 5 permanent members there, those are the people who will be voting. And I believe,
That's fine.
So Jim won't be voting?
I assume that all of you have been to all the other, because there've been 2 other hearings, right? Right, so now it'll be the 5 of us voting. So that's the plan, assuming I get through and watch the
No
4
more
hours
COVID.
of video. 3.5, I think.
Well, it's
3.5. I'm a little ways through it, so. Anyway,
It's in
that's,
excess of 3.5.
yeah, that was a long meeting. I would definitely not have made it. Any other business? Like you said, we don't have any meeting minutes, there's nothing else. The next meeting is 2 weeks from today.
Yes.
Okay,
And then the one after that's November, so.
November 9th?
9th,
Right. Do we only have one scheduled for that at the moment?
so far.
Let me make sure I add that to my
November 9th.
calendar.
That's the one you got today. What's this one?
Ninth.
That's the one you got today.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, he's checking his phone. I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
On camera.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It's unanimous. Okay, Val, thank you.